on Prime Crime.
I told him, I said, you need to stop, that I had a gun and that I would shoot him. He's like, yeah, okay, shoot me.
Keep in mind that even when one pleads self-defense, they are not claiming that they did not kill someone. They are merely saying, I am not criminally liable because I had to kill this person in order to save my life.
Some of the most twisted cases to investigate.
My husband's deceased. There's been a tragedy at my home. He's stiff and he's been wounded.
He said to me on several occasions, everything will be okay as long as I hide the steak knives. He didn't hide the steak knives.
Difficult cases to decide.
Did you see when the gun went off?
Just heard it.
Okay, so it's fair to say you didn't see where the gun was when the shot went off?
Correct.
The stories really didn't match up. I mean, each witness gave a totally different account.
The way the law is applied and the way we argued it, it's not so much how the general public views that moment in time, it's how he perceived that moment in time.
The self-defense cases that had everyone divided.
Man, she reached in the window and everything, confrontational. They shot that man, he had to shoot that man like that.
Whether she was guilty, not guilty, or whatever. The end result was tragic for both sides.
Hey there, everybody, I'm Jesse Weber. Over the last several years of Prime Crime, we have covered some of the most controversial self-defense cases. Stories that leave you questioning, what happened? Who's telling the truth? And when we talk about self-defense, while the law can be different from state to state, what we're talking about is whether or not someone is legally justified to use reasonable force to protect oneself or others from immediate serious injury or death at the hands of another. But answering the question of whether a killing is justified, as you're about to see, is anything but clear-cut.
911, you need police, fire, medical. I don't know. My husband's deceased. There's been a tragedy at my home.
The morning of January 12th, 2019, dispatchers receive a frantic call from a woman in Winter Park, Florida.
Why do you believe he's deceased? Because he's stiff and he's been wounded. He might have had a heart attack. I don't know.
That's the voice of 45-year-old Danielle Redlick, who says she discovered her husband, 65-year-old Michael Redlick, dead on the floor of their home.
He was actually choking me and trying to suffocate me first. I actually went for the knife, and he was screaming, "What are you going to do, stab me?" And he grabbed it. And that's when he did it. He made a motion. He stabbed himself, and I ran into the bathroom. When I came out, I was just lying in blood.
In order to understand how we got here, we have to take a step back to the unusual beginning of Danielle and Michael's relationship.
I first met Mike, I think it was 1996. He'd come to the golf course and say, I think I'm in love with this woman, Kathleen, but she's dying of cancer. I think I'm gonna marry her. You're gonna marry her? Yeah, the benefits that she has are terrible. She's gonna have better treatment, better care, and that's why he married Kathleen. I'm sure they were in love, but he was all about helping her out. After Kathleen passed away, Mike was basically providing for two of Kathleen's kids, Danielle and her younger brother.
Michael Redlick was an executive for various sports teams, so he had a prominent job, doing well, making good money.
Somewhere down the road, the relationship started. He married his stepdaughter. We warned him against it. Like, what are you thinking? In a weird way, it's a love story that most people wouldn't approve of, but it became a love story, a real love story. Well, that's the biggest mistake Mike made in his life.
Fast forward 15 years. Michael is dead, and Danielle is taken to the hospital to be evaluated. Police pay her a visit to try and piece together what exactly occurred here.
We just kind of want to get some type of information as to what happened. If you're willing to talk to us, that'd be good.
I'm perfectly willing to say what happened. You want me to describe what happened?
I want you to tell me whatever you feel comfortable telling me.
Thursday, my husband was very belligerent and distraught.
Well, at first the relationship was fine, but then over time there were allegations of controlling behaviors and that he had a drinking problem.
He was following me around the house and I was trying not to engage. I locked myself in the bathroom. He broke the door open. He was scaring me, so I decided to leave. And he was drinking heavily.
I'm not a rocket scientist, but wait a minute. There's 8 empty bottles of wine in the garbage. Mike didn't like wine. So those bottles got emptied by somebody other than Mike.
We had some issues last year. He basically cheated on me, and it was a big, long, drawn-out thing. And I found a slew of emails of him carrying on with another woman, and it just crushed me.
Mike was trying to understand, and he must have been going to some meetings with Al-Anon. And along the way, he met a woman. They became friends. Friends. It was somebody that he could talk to about dealing with her. No infidelity at all on Mike's part. I'm convinced of that.
He found a text from another man to me, and that really angered him.
That's where things began to go somewhat awry in the marriage. She complained that as a result, he was both physically and emotionally abusive.
Investigators continue to speak with Danielle at the hospital, where she claims Michael was aggressive and intimidating.
He continued on his day Friday to work, and I continued my day. I got some snide texts from him during the day. We attended our son's football game together that evening, and it was after the football game where, once again, he poured himself a drink, and really heavy, and it just started from there. He started spewing. I didn't realize how much rage was going on in there.
She had previously filed a police report against Michael for domestic abuse. And because of that, it led credence to her claim later that she was in fear of her life and that Michael was at it again.
But Danielle starts to shut down.
I think that's about what I'm most comfortable talking about currently.
With Danielle not giving police much to go on, days later they return to the Redlicks' home, this time with a warrant in hand.
Can you get the kids away, Dad? Please.
Yes.
Just get the kids.
Danielle, I just want to talk to you, okay? Right now you're not under arrest, but we just secured you for our safety. We do have a search warrant for your house, and I also have a search warrant for your DNA.
While the detective collects the DNA sample, Danielle seems shocked to learn what investigators may be thinking.
2 buccal swabs, saliva standards from Danielle Justine Redlick, which is believed to be evidence relevant to proving that a felony crime has been committed. Death investigation, second-degree murder are located in the person.
You're saying the saliva, when there was resuscitation done, that's second-degree murder?
No, I'm collecting saliva standards from you.
Because of the resuscitation?
Because of other evidence that we have collected.
She tried CPR and couldn't find her phone to call 911. I think that's somebody dancing and just changing the story as much as she could.
So you're saying that once this DNA is confirmed as mine, I'm being charged with second-degree murder? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm collecting this to be tested. From what we collected from the house, we need to be able to differentiate your DNA from your husband's DNA.
Little did Danielle know there were others who for a long time noticed issues between her and Michael, issues that become critical in understanding the complexity of this case.
The whole neighborhood knows that they fought, verbally at least, and physically out in front of the house.
Police speak with the Redlicks' neighbors and learn even more about the tumultuous relationship.
We are very aware of the bickering and fighting and that type of thing. Most of the time it was screaming at one another, but primarily it was her screaming at him.
But you and argued plenty of times.
Has it been verbal or physical?
But it wasn't on his part.
Okay. When it's physical, what have you seen?
Her slapping him around in the face.
Some of us saw some dangers there. If you would have asked me 6 years ago, did I have any friends whose spouse were capable of killing them, I'd say only one, and that would be Danielle.
How would you describe Michael?
He always seemed very laid back. I never saw any kind of aggression or anything.
And how would you describe Danielle?
Volatile. But I don't know what happened behind closed doors.
Then detectives learn there's been run-ins with the Redlicks in the past, including the year earlier when Michael actually called 911 on Danielle.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
We need a car here. There's a woman that's a danger to herself and to others right now.
A gentleman that's a danger to
My sense on calling 911 was to show her that, look, I'm not going to abuse you. I'm not going to hit you, but I've had it.
You better go in your room. Please, Dan. Please, go in your room. Will you stop? All right. I will call you back. I will call you back in 5 minutes.
Sir, what is going on there? Hello?
You can see in a domestic situation where someone is looking at their wife, acting crazily, that they would call police. And because they didn't know what her intentions were, that they wouldn't ask police to come over right away and said he would call them back, but he never did.
Detectives decide to get another point of view into the relationship. They interview the couple's children.
Have they ever gotten into arguments that you actually saw them physically fighting?
Yes. They were pushing each other.
Have you ever seen anything more than just pushing between the two of them?
Scratching.
Okay, who would scratch who?
I guess my mom and my dad would push away.
Investigators then learn even more about Michael and Danielle's troubling marriage from their daughter, 15-year-old Jaden.
My parents used to be separated. They're obviously not divorced, but as like a family, we've been through a lot this past year. I know they were kind of in a heated argument this week about something. My dad moved out in April of last year, and he moved back in I think late October. They've always had like an off and on relationship for like I think the past 5 or 6 years.
In the times in the past that they've had this physical confrontation that you observed, who would be the more aggressive one to actually physically touch you?
My mom. I've never seen him hurt my mom, like physically.
It's rare for a daughter to point the finger at her mother for being the violent one, but that's what happened here.
The one time that I saw like a mark on my dad's face was because they were arguing and my mom had a ring on.
Has he ever hit her or left any marks on her?
I think so. I remember just my mom saying my dad pushed her.
Do you think the push was in self-defense because she was coming at him, or push because he was upset at her?
Maybe both.
He said to me on several occasions, everything will be okay as long as I hide the steak knives. I was driving from Charlotte up to Cleveland, got a call from a good friend of mine that let me know what happened. They said he was found dead. I was in shock, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised. Oh my God, he didn't hide the steak knives.
As detectives piece together this puzzle, is Danielle's story that Michael stabbed himself adding up?
Real quick, talking crime like we do, if you are a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, the scammers, they are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. This is a real thing. This is how it works. So criminals forge your signature on just one document. They use a fake notary stamp to pay a small fee with your county. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. And then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know what's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. I mean, when was the last time that you really checked your home title? If the answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That is why we've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code PRIMECRIME at HometitleLock.com. You will get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com, use promo code PRIMECRIME. That is HometitleLock.com, promo code PRIMECRIME. Back in 2019, investigators are questioning Danielle Redlick in the death of her husband and former stepfather, Michael Redlick. Danielle called 911 to report Michael might have had a heart attack. Then she changed her story, claiming he might have stabbed himself. And what police are about to learn makes this situation even more confusing.
Michael was stabbed once in the shoulder. It was originally a bloody crime scene, but when investigators walked into the house, they smelled disinfectant, bleach.
And it was clear that the husband had bled out. There was evidence that she even attempted to clean up. By the time they arrived and the fact that the wounds had dried, it led the investigators to believe that this had taken place hours prior to her calling 911.
And let's go back to that 911 phone call that Danielle made after the stabbing. There was one important detail that caught investigators' attention.
Did you just find him?
No, actually, it happened last night.
Did you see him last night? Was he okay or was...
He was not okay last night. We had altercation.
What is interesting, of course, is that she waited 11 hours to call the police after what was ultimately discovered to be an altercation between the two.
Is there a reason why you didn't call last night?
I'm on probation and I was really afraid and I didn't think anybody would believe me.
Her initial story was that he killed himself. Okay, so if your husband kills himself, why wouldn't you call 911 right away? Why would you tamper with evidence? Why wouldn't you call EMS and see what you could do to save him?
About a month after Michael Redlick's death, Danielle is officially arrested and charged with murder and tampering with evidence.
Most of us thought, this is an airtight case and she's going to be found guilty. If anything, maybe they let her plead out to a lesser degree. That offer was on the table.
Danielle made the decision to decline the manslaughter deal, where she would have served 10 years in prison.
Danielle now starts to introduce the idea of self-defense.
There's some evidence they keep getting, but it's just stuff they took out of his desk when he was writing down stuff about when I had filed for divorce. Michael was so angry, he was keeping a log of stuff like, he was just being vindictive, like, oh, today Danielle did this. And it's like, all this stuff this did to me. I better not share too much, but there's something really bad about him that he did when he was younger. They're trying to keep all that out.
She obviously thought she could convince a jury that she believed she was in fear of her life. She could use Michael's past against him.
Then he got all these hearsay stuff from people they were talking, he was talking to at work that don't even know me. Oh, well, Danielle had problems. Meanwhile, this son of a is drinking his ass off, smacking me around, smacking the kids around too, going at it with me, Well, unfortunately, a lot of people aren't stepping forward because they didn't see anything. No one sees the abuse. I was mentally abused, like psychologically. I'm not kidding you. Sexually. I mean, he was a mastermind.
June 2022. Prosecutors are gearing up to take Danielle Redlick to trial for second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Just when it seems the case couldn't get any more intense, watch what happens next.
That defendant plunged a knife into the shoulder of Michael Redlick, which would cause him to bleed to death. The home that she is standing in looks like something from a horror movie.
The prosecution's strongest evidence at trial was the argument that manipulating the crime scene, hiding the crime, evidences a guilty mind.
This defendant did everything she could to avoid responsibility for her actions. The evidence will show that she engages in a significant but failed attempt to clean up the scene.
Danielle's alibi never made any sense. She only claimed self-defense after she first said that Michael had a heart attack or that Michael stabbed himself, which is really bizarre.
Based on all the information that you had from the 911 call, your conversation with Miss Redlick, did you believe her to be claiming that Mr. Redlick basically brought about his own death?
Yes.
Did the autopsy results as shared to you by the medical examiner give you reason to believe that that was not true?
Yes.
Did you actually locate some evidence?
Yes, I did. There was towels that were piled up next to the stair. There was a mop that had blood on it and a bucket full of like pink liquid by the stairs. There was also knives. There was a knife in the doorway, knives in the kitchen sink.
Prosecutors also tried to show evidence of problems in the marriage. An email from months before the stabbing from Danielle to Michael was particularly chilling.
I know I'm bitter at times, I admit, but you have a lot of nerve as well. Although my words may be cutting, they are only sounds, a dull knife compared to the sharp, disloyal, deceiving, phony, and never-ending, selfish knife you continue to twist in my back.
Now the defense steps in, offering a very different perspective on the circumstances that led to the stabbing of Michael Redlick.
Everybody thought it would be a layup, but the one thing they were worried about was how people would portray Mike. If I'm the defense attorney, I'm gonna paint this story about this guy that married his stepdaughter, right? We're gonna make him look like a predator that was abusive.
January 11th, 2019, someone was very, very angry. This someone started to physically attack their spouse. They had rage. They were choking their spouse, smothering their spouse. That someone was Michael Redlick, and Danielle Redlick had no choice but to defend herself because she was afraid she was going to die.
The other argument for self-defense is that she stabbed Michael in the shoulder. It wasn't a kill shot that you would normally think of as an attempt to murder someone would be in the heart.
Yes, Danielle Redlick did stab Michael Redlick. Danielle Redlick knew and recognized that the danger that she was facing that night was different than the other incidents of abuse that had happened throughout their marriage.
As you'll see in a number of these self-defense cases, the defendant takes the stand to explain why deadly force was necessary, and that's exactly what happened when Danielle decided to testify.
Ms. Redlick, on January 11th, 2019, did you stab your husband?
I did. Yes. He was suffocating me. I couldn't breathe, and he had me pinned down. I was scared, and I was just in fear for my life. I thought he snapped, and I could die.
Do you have any choice but to use a weapon to get away?
No. I walked through the kitchen, and that's when he comes up behind me and grabs me. I just trip up on my feet, and I fall to the ground. At that point, I grab the center island, and I reach up to pull myself up to face him. So he grabs me here and slams me down onto the center island counter. He called me a and he was holding my head down on the counter. So I'm just pinned up against the counter like this, and he's straddling my body here and has me pinned. I've got a free arm here, and the drawer in front of me is the only thing I can do. So I use my free arm to push open the drawer ahead of me.
I think he was just trying to hold her back, talk her down off the ledge, and she got carried away and she killed him.
Pulled the knife out, he released my head. What are you gonna stab me? And I take the knife and I position it and face it toward him. He immediately just goes for my chin and pushes me back, and I stab him at that point.
Prior to stabbing him with a knife, are you able to remove yourself?
No.
Are you able to get out without using a weapon?
No, I was trying.
What are you trying to do?
To get away from him.
Why? If you don't do that, what is your belief that will happen?
That he might smother me to death.
Self-defense cases can go either way, and many times it all comes down to the defendant's testimony.
My understanding is that you have reached a verdict. Is that correct? Yes.
This is an episode that we really wanted to bring to you, and one of the reasons that we can do that is because of the amazing support that we get from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. And let me tell you, they may be able to provide you the help if you need it. Why? I'm talking America's largest injury law firm. I'm talking about a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. Do you know why they're so big? Because they win a lot. Get this, they have recovered over $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. Think about that. In the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. Out in Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. Another client in Pennsylvania received $29 million after being offered only $500,000. And even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not just start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan, they make it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/primecrime or scan the QR code on screen. We've now heard from both sides in this case. Did Danielle Redlick murder her husband Michael by stabbing him to death, or did she act in self-defense out of fear her life was in danger? After 4 hours of deliberations, the jury comes back with their decision.
Verdict as to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. Verdict as to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of tampering with physical evidence.
I was sad. In my opinion, justice wasn't served, and I couldn't believe she got away with it.
Danielle Redlick dodges a conviction of second-degree murder, but is sentenced to almost a year in jail for tampering with evidence with credit for time served.
Mike made one mistake. Wasn't being a good father, wasn't being a good husband, wasn't being good to Danielle's mother. He married his stepdaughter. Should have never have done it. If we could go back in time and talk him out of it, I wish we had that opportunity.
Well, there you have it. That jury seemed to believe Danielle had every right to defend herself from an aggressor, one who, in this case, just happened to be her stepfather turned husband. But what about our next story? You know, most of the time, these unbelievable cases, they play out in just regular, everyday places, like just a harmless ride to a convenience store. Michael Draka was doing that, a quick ride to a local store that spirals into a deadly encounter.
July 19th, 2018, Clearwater, Florida. What you're seeing is the surveillance footage of a parking lot outside of a convenience store. As you'll notice, a car pulls up. Brittany Jacobs, her boyfriend, 28-year-old Marquise McLaughlin, and their 3 children are in the car. Jacobs illegally parks in a handicap spot while McLaughlin goes into the store. Less than a minute later, then 47-year-old Michael Draka pulls into the lot and then immediately begins arguing with Jacobs over where she parked.
He's the one who parked illegally himself to complain about someone else parked illegally, and then engaged in a war of words where bystanders took notice and stopped and watched because it got so heated.
McLaughlin is alerted of the argument outside and leaves the store.
One of the things that fear as a primary emotion, what it can do is that it can spark anger. So he might have feared that his girlfriend was in trouble, but his emotional response wasn't one of fear. It's one of action. It's one of anger. It's one of adrenaline coursing through his system.
Suddenly, McLaughlin pushes Draka to the ground. Draka responds by quickly taking out a gun and firing at McLaughlin.
He did have a concealed weapons permit. And so if he believed his life was threatened, yeah, he would be allowed to pull out the gun in that situation.
McLaughlin quickly makes his way back into the store. Marquise McLaughlin later dies at the hospital. Now it's a question of whether this was self-defense, which is particularly interesting considering Florida is a stand-your-ground state.
Stand your ground in Florida allows people to use deadly force without having to retreat from a dangerous situation if they reasonably believe that their lives are threatened.
After the shooting, Draka waits for police to arrive, is brought into an interrogation room, and voluntarily agrees to speak to police without a lawyer.
We're going to take them off. You're going to be cool?
Oh, gosh,
yeah. Okay. I don't know you. I don't know nothing about what's going on.
I know. You have my absolute word, sir.
You understand that you have the right to remain silent? I'm going to need a verbal response, sir, if you will. Okay. Do you understand that anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law?
Yes, sir. Thank you for being very professional.
He was cooperative. He didn't run. He didn't flee. He gave them the gun.
The reason why Draka didn't run away is because in his mind, he believed he was acting properly. In his mind, he still believes he is a pseudo police officer.
I did exactly what I thought I was supposed to be doing at that time, considering what was happening.
Let's get into that.
First, why did Draka approach Jacob's car? And why was he so upset at the parking spot?
Every day there's somebody pulled in the handicap spot there, just waiting on somebody.
Okay.
I have a pet peeve about it. I said, it's not very polite to park here when there's other people who need to use this. She says, is it affecting you directly? I said, if my mother-in-law rolls in, yes, it will be.
Not only is Draka's mother-in-law handicapped, but so is a deceased ex-girlfriend of his. In self-defense, you have to ask, who was the aggressor? Draka for starting the verbal confrontation, or McLaughlin for making it physical?
The victim came out of the convenience store and violently pushed the defendant to the ground. But it was the defendant who then escalated it further by pulling out a weapon.
Now under police questioning, Draka insists he was within his rights to use deadly force. But the real question is, was his life really in danger?
I was hit from right here.
So he shoved you pretty good? No, for what it felt like is he come running at me. Okay.
If you had just been blindsided with no idea who was attacking you, would your firearm be out next move you made?
Probably so.
What did you think he was going to do?
Thinking he's going to finish what the hell he just started.
Stand your ground, you can meet force with force, but it doesn't mean you get to shoot someone who pushes you to the ground. The other person was unarmed.
It happened so fast, and that was that.
Did he say anything to you?
Negative. Not a word.
Okay. Did you say anything to him?
No.
Like back up? Or?
No.
Okay. So he made no threats that he was going to come finish his job?
It was an assumption, definitely.
Okay. So you just assumed he was going to come do that?
Any smart person would. He never said a word when he dumped me either.
Right.
Now here's where things become very important. Listen closely to what Draka says McLaughlin did when he was on the ground.
I start drawing my weapon. As I start leveling off my weapon, he makes his next step towards me.
How many steps did he make towards you?
Just one step.
Okay.
But is that true? Did McLaughlin actually move towards Draka? The videotape may say otherwise.
The victim had taken a step or two backwards. The defendant's best argument is that he was blindsided by a violent push, and so then he reacted. But the problem is that it wasn't just instinctual. He had time to see the victim stop and take a couple steps away, and then shot him anyways.
Really want somebody to look at those tapes. It should have everything.
Okay. What happens if I told you that I looked at the video and in no time and point does he come running up towards you? He actually takes a step back.
I would disagree.
The way the law is applied and the way we argued it, it's not so much how the general public views that moment in time, it's how he perceived that moment in time.
Did you have time to really look at him and tell that he was coming towards you?
The feet said he was coming towards me, and so did the hips.
Turns out this wasn't Draka's first brush with confrontation. He has a history of road rage and had allegedly pulled a gun on people in the past. In fact, he had gotten into a heated argument with a man over a parking spot in the very same lot just months before the killing of McLaughlin.
So this guy is an aggressor. He's an instigator. In his mind, he is a pseudo police officer, a vigilante who's out to make sure people park in the right spaces.
And again, a hothead in my definition, without excusing or minimizing what happened, is someone who confronts you each and every instance with a gun, looking for a fight, looking for a reason to shoot you.
Does it ever go through your mind that when you're going up and talking to these people and informing them of them being parked in a handicapped spot, that they might not take that right? That this might go sideways a little bit?
Well, sure, but that's why I take precautions as well.
Like what kind of precautions?
Well, I'm a very careful person and I have a permit.
Having a gun and the stand your ground law do two different things. Having the gun absolutely makes someone feel invincible. The law does something much, much worse. The law makes people believe that they will be justified in pulling their weapon and escalating a confrontation to the point where someone could actually die.
July 2018, Michael Draka gets into a deadly altercation in a convenience store parking lot over a handicap spot. After being violently shoved, he opens fire on Marquise McLaughlin in what he claims was self-defense. He's questioned by authorities, he's eventually released, but things quickly change.
When it comes to stand your ground type cases, there is a hesitancy to start making an arrest right away because you need to investigate all the circumstances around that shooting. Plus, in this case, the sheriff indicated that he thought the defendant was within his rights to shoot based on stand your ground.
When the case was handed over to state prosecutors, though, Draka was ultimately charged with manslaughter.
Well, it's not first-degree murder, clearly, because it was not a premeditated murder. And as far as whether it's second-degree murder, that usually involves ill will. None of that seems to apply here. This was a guy who was pushed down pretty violently and then reacted and shot dead the victim. And so it really is a manslaughter case rather than a murder case.
Draka's attorneys had the option of first arguing at a hearing that their client was immune from prosecution under the Stand Your Ground law, but
we did not argue stand your ground. We did not file any pretrial motions. We didn't argue for immunity based on stand your ground.
And stand your ground does not give you the right to escalate a fistfight into a gunfight. You can't just start shooting unarmed people, especially those who are trying to de-escalate the situation by taking a couple steps back. And that's why the defense lawyers decided not to pursue stand your ground and instead just to make it a regular self-defense case.
Mr. McLaughlin backs up as far as he can go, all the way to the car. He can't go back any further and watch that video. He starts to turn away from the confrontation, and he's shot at that time. Matter of fact, the video speaks better than I can.
While Draka's legal team ultimately decides not to argue stand your ground, they do have to convince the jury at Draka's criminal trial that he acted in self-defense when using deadly force.
We want you to look at the video. We want you to look at it in real time. We don't want you to look at it in slow motion. Because life doesn't happen in slow motion. Life didn't happen in slow motion for Mr. Draka.
The jury heard all different kinds of evidence on use of force, pathology, and even a past encounter Draka had over a handicap spot in that same lot. But there was one witness we all waited to hear from, the woman who had the initial confrontation with Draka and who was right there during the shooting, McLaughlin's girlfriend, Brittany Jacobs.
Did the defendant shoot Marquise?
Yes.
Was that after Marquise went backwards?
Yes. I seen Marquise down there fighting for his life. So I grabbed a t-shirt and I put it toward his wound and stopped the bleeding.
Was Michael Draka legally justified when he shot and killed Marquise McLaughlin? Or was it a reckless decision that cost an innocent man his life?
To the charge of manslaughter, we the jury find as follows as to the defendant in this case.
Hey, I just want to quickly thank Upside for sponsoring this episode of Prime Crime. And if you don't know what it is great. Upside is a free app that gets you cash back on daily essentials. So when I pump my gas, I can use Upside. I go out to lunch, I can use Upside. Maybe I get something at a convenience store, I'm using Upside. And why not get cash back when I do all these things, right? This is actual, real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you transfer right into your bank account. So once you have the free Upside app, you claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. You pay as usual using a debit or credit card. You follow the steps on the app, you get paid. So to find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on screen and make sure to use our promo code PRIMECRIME because you'll get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. Okay, here's what we know. Michael Draka shot and killed Marquise McLaughlin in a parking lot in Clearwater, Florida. His defense team argues that he acted out of self-defense, insisting he had the legal right to fire on McLaughlin. After more than 6 hours of tense deliberations, the jury returns with their decision.
To the charge of manslaughter, we the jury find as follows as to the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter as charged.
You start shooting, you don't get to do that under Florida law to shoot first and ask questions later. He brandished a weapon, and then the victim took a step or two backwards to de-escalate, and then he was shot. And so, in my mind, the jury reached the proper verdict.
Draka was sentenced to 20 years behind bars, and his life inside hasn't gone so smoothly.
Well, early on during his incarceration, he was attacked. I don't know if they ever discovered if it was racially motivated or if it was just a random attack. He's doing better now. He hasn't had any problems since that attack. He's in general population. He's awaiting the results of the appeal in good spirits and hopeful that he'll get a new trial.
And in 2021, an appeals court officially upheld Michael Draka's conviction and sentence, rejecting arguments of juror misconduct and insufficient evidence to convict. Now we move to the scene of what seems to be a simple traffic accident. However, this quickly turns into a tragedy for everyone involved when a concerned citizen takes matters into her own hands.
Clayton County 911, what's the location?
Hey, we have an accident up here by Clark, Howell, and Forest Parkway. A truck, unfortunately, hit a vehicle.
What kind of truck is it?
It's a semi-tractor trailer, and it is a pickup truck, red Dakota.
It's May 7th, 2019, around 6 p.m. in Clayton County, Georgia. A Dodge Dakota pickup truck runs a red light and hits the trailer of a semi-truck, disabling it and badly damaging the pickup. Georgia Department of Corrections officer Terry Robinson witnesses the crash and calls 911.
Okay, does it appear that anyone's hurt or injured?
Sir, do you need assistance? Do you need an ambulance? Sir. Yes, sir. It's so steady. You need an ambulance assistance? He's not saying anything. Sir, you okay?
The pickup driver would soon be identified as 62-year-old Kenneth Herring.
Kenneth Herring was reported as being disoriented. He was asking questions: who hit me? What's happening? He was walking around his vehicle, which was heavily damaged.
At first glance, it might seem like Kenneth Herring is intoxicated, but the caller works in a medical prison, and his training tells him something else.
His call does not make it seem that Mr. Herring is under the influence of like alcohol or drugs. It actually makes it seem that he's having some kind of a medical event.
While Robinson waits for police to arrive, unbeknownst to him, another eyewitness has also pulled over, 21-year-old Hannah Payne.
There was just an accident. I'm sure they've already called, but I just witnessed it, and I just wanted to make sure that I called the police as well in case they didn't.
We appreciate you calling this in. We'll get someone out there and try to assist them.
What would we do without people that help? Hannah Payne stopped to offer assistance or to offer an explanation of how the accident happened.
She assumed that this was a person high on drugs or, inebriated under alcohol.
But as Robinson continues to observe the man, he's increasingly convinced Kenneth Herring may be having a medical episode and needs help. So when 20 minutes pass and no police or ambulance arrive, the corrections officer calls 911 again.
The driver who caused the accident, I think he's impaired. Something's going on with him. And he's moving his ear. He's going to drive off now. He's driving off.
Robinson calls out to Payne, who's standing nearby.
Take a picture of the driver license. Take a picture quick.
What's the tag number?
Now, the other driver who was she's going to take a picture of the vehicle.
Okay.
The lady in the Jeep was almost in the incident, so she turned around and she went after him. So she's going to take a picture of his vehicle and stuff.
It was clear from the 911 tape that they needed that tag number. They wanted her to get it. The correctional officer said, "Hey, can you go get the tag from that guy as he drove off?" So when she took off, she felt as if she was justified to follow this car to get a tag to assist and help the police officer.
Payne calls 911 again as she follows the pickup.
Okay, can you get his tag number? Hold on, he's driving away. It's a red Dodge Dakota. Give me 1 second, hold on, and I'm catching up to him right now. Okay, ma'am, we actually do not want you to chase him. We just want you to be safe. And it's
I understand.
not to chase him.
I understand 100%. I'm just going to get the tag number.
They initially tell her not to pursue and not to follow Kenneth Herring. She continues. She believes that he is not safe to drive.
He is drunk. I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you I'm not going to follow him because he is going to cause another accident.
Payne cuts off the pickup with her Jeep, forcing the driver to stop.
I believe anybody can understand obtaining the tag number from the vehicle. I believe it was this next step of blocking his vehicle, getting out of the car and making contact with him. That is the part that was kind of unreasonable. 911 dispatch tells her a few more times to not pursue, not follow, just to be safe. She continues. She ignores 911 dispatch.
Okay. So if you can go back to that location where the incident happened, and because someone is actually on the way to you guys now. So I will stay behind him until an officer can get to us, but until then, I'm not moving.
She gets out of the car while she is still on the phone with 911. And when she makes contact with Kenneth Herring at his vehicle, you can hear her screaming and yelling at him to get out of the car multiple times.
Get out the car! Get out the car! I'm calling the police! You're kidding me! Get out the car! Get out the car! Get out the car! Ma'am.
The driver, Kenneth Herring, refuses to get out and at first appears to try to shoo Hannah away.
There's definitely some interaction that took place, but no one heard Kenneth Herring over the screaming and shouting of Hannah Payne.
He revs up his car. He was trying to pull her in the car and was driving, dragging her. She told him, hey, I got a gun right here, I'll use it. And he grabbed the gun. She didn't want to shoot him. And as he was wrestling for the gun went off and he shot himself. She never pulled the trigger with intent to shoot him. They were fighting over the gun. His hands were on top of the gun, twisting it back towards her, and the gun went off. She immediately picked up the phone and said, oh my God, he just shot himself with my pistol.
Ma'am! Yes. Ma'am! He just pulled the trigger of my gun in my hand while he was... Ma'am, you were not supposed to follow him. He hit my car!
Dispatch is very upset at that time because they told her not to follow him. And then she begins to scream at the 911 dispatch, telling them to get an ambulance out.
There's a police officer down the street. Tell them to come up here now. He pulled the trigger on my gun after he attacked me. Tell the police officer to turn around from the 285 entrance and come up here immediately. There's an ambulance!
Clayton County Police arrive at the scene.
Who got shot? Who shot him?
Right there in the Jeep. She got a gun. She just shot him. I didn't have my finger on the trigger.
Is there any other guns in the car?
No, I don't.
They do disarm her with the firearm, and the officer is attempting to speak with the witnesses on the scene to ascertain what happened.
Man, she reached in the window and everything, conversational. And shot that man. He had to shoot that man like that.
Police handcuff Payne and detain her in the patrol car. Officer Ryan Ritchie and a medic attempt to revive Kenneth Herring until the ambulance arrives. And then, while Herring is taken to the hospital, police interview eyewitness Terry Robinson.
After that initial accident over here, how was the guy that was out there? He was impaired. He was something going on, man. His eyes was red. He was acting delusional. He was acting, kind of out of it.
That corrections officer observed Mr. Herring and knew something was wrong. He didn't know if it was a diabetic incident or if it was caused by the collision itself.
There's a bunch of needles in his car, so I don't know if that's diabetic related and that's why he hit the cars or what. He said he was not looking good. They took him to Southern Regional.
Now, investigators are face to face with Hannah Payne, demanding answers. Why did she follow Herring, and what led to this deadly shooting?
And he's just like, who are you, who are you? I said, I'm no one, but I'm on the phone with dispatch. I'm on the phone with the police. And he's like, yeah, okay, I got something for you.
So he appeared inebriated to you?
Yes, I thought it was alcohol.
Okay, did you ever smell any alcohol on him?
I never got close enough.
Even when you're at the window, like when you're having this, did you ever catch a whiff of anything, or?
I can't say that I did, can't say that I didn't.
Okay.
So Mr. Herring was definitely described as being disoriented and confused. And even up to the point of being a little impatient was the word, I believe, that was used.
He's verbally combative, absolutely. But I have to be honest, I probably would be too if somebody approached my vehicle after cutting it off and not having a badge or any kind of identifying information.
She tried her best to help, and I think it escalated a little bit more than it should have. I mean, it was kind of chaotic.
I don't know with what hand, how he lunged it first, but when he lunged, it hit my phone. So it knocked it out of my hand, and he grabbed
knocked it out to the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it shattered the screen.
Okay.
and then he grabbed me because he's pulling at me, he's tugging.
Okay.
So he's pulling, we're going back and forth, he's hitting, he's swinging. I'm trying to hit, but I'm also trying to pull away. And that's when he pulled.
Well, he pulled forward how? Like, his car went how far forward?
All the way forward to my Jeep.
So it struck your Jeep?
It did, yeah,
Okay.
it did.
There appeared to have been some struggle. Her shirt was ripped. He did hit her vehicle during the altercation, and that could have also been the reason why she pulled her gun, because she was upset. And also that he was not following her instructions to do what she wanted him to do.
Payne is claiming that Herring pulled the trigger of her own gun. Would detectives see it that way? Or more importantly, a jury?
I told him, I said, you need to stop, that I had a gun and that I would shoot him. He's like, yeah, okay, shoot me, shoot me.
In 2019, a bizarre self-defense situation unfolds in Georgia. Bystander Hannah Payne is now speaking with authorities, trying to explain why she decided to follow and confront Kenneth Herring after an accident she wasn't involved in. Herring is shot, rushed to a nearby hospital, but the big question remains: who pulled the trigger and who's ultimately responsible?
She claims self-defense, but you can only use self-defense if you are not the initial aggressor. And in this situation, I believe that Hannah Payne actually was the initial aggressor. You have now cut off their car with your car, which is an aggressive move, and made it so that they cannot move. And now you are approaching their vehicle with a gun in your hand. That is a recipe for disaster.
And when you pull it out, what do you do with that gun?
I loaded it.
All right, so you racked the chamber.
I did, which, sorry, it's just,
I know it's hard. Take your time if you need to, but
I never thought I would.
Nobody ever does. It's okay.
She was trying to run it back through her head again to see what really had happened, because she could not believe this has actually happened. And as she was doing that, and they were questioning her, she was trying to be as honest as she could.
And I had it in my gun in my hand.
Are you pointing at him at this time?
I'm not pointing it at him, but I'm not pointing it away. He grabs my hand with the gun. He's pulling at it, and he's pulling at the trigger area, in the trigger.
His hand is in the trigger guard?
His hand is in the trigger guard, yeah.
Okay. What kind of gun do you have?
Springfield. It's an XD 9mm. I bought it for protection.
Did you take any training classes with the gun, or is it something that you...
It wasn't, I didn't take any scheduled training.
Professional,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've been to the range. I grew up shooting guns. I grew up around police officers, actually.
There was evidence in her vehicle that she had recently been at a target practice. She had the targets in the vehicle, information about taking classes for firearms.
What happened next?
So when he was pulling at me, and that's when my finger, I put it on the trigger.
But when detectives ask Payne more specifically how her finger was placed on the trigger, her story seems to change.
Don't have my fingers on the trigger. I have it resting on the side of the trigger. That's when he's turning it, like he keeps turning, and it gets to almost like where my hand is on top of it. His hands are turning it, and we're that way, and it's kind of going back and forth over here. And I'm yelling at him, telling him, I said, just let go, let go. And he's yelling, no, just shoot me. You said you were going to, just shoot me. And I'm like, just let go. That's when his hand and my fingers were
in the trigger guard.
They were at the trigger guard. And he had a hold of the trigger, and the trigger was pulled. That's when it went off.
When the gun went off.
How many shots were fired?
Just one.
Just the one.
Unbeknownst to Payne, while she's been talking with police, Kenneth Herring has died from the gunshot wound to his abdomen. And in a blow to Payne's defense, Kenneth Herring's blood toxicology report shows no drugs or alcohol in his system. Hannah Payne is arrested in what is now a homicide case.
Hannah Payne was being charged with murder.
But while prosecutors may think Hannah Payne is guilty, will a jury?
Defendant Hannah Renee Payne had the audacity to chase, corner, detain, assault, shoot, and kill an unarmed 62-year-old Kenneth Herring who was sitting in his own car. All because she didn't like his driving. And she didn't like how he acted. And after she shoots him, she picks up the phone with the 911 operator going, "He pulled the trigger on my gun and shot himself." That's the level of audacity you're gonna hear.
I don't think there was a malice bone in her body that day. I think there was a scared person who got herself in a situation that she was just trying to get loose. We got a situation, it's a tragic situation, because one man has lost his life and the other person has lost their chance to ever really live a normal life. She's never seen anything like that. 21 years old. There's only one conclusion we can come to, and that's that she was following, as naive as it may be, and some may even say as dumb as it may be. Her intentions were good as she followed the direction of authority. This is a young girl doing what she was told to do, and I believe once the evidence is done, you'll be able to let her know she's not guilty.
Because this was on a very busy highway, there were a number of people slowing down to see what was happening.
What did you observe happening that drew your attention?
I just seen her outside hitting on his window or his car door, and that's what made me just pull out my phone.
Where is Miss Payne standing when you see her?
She was actually standing at the guy's driver door.
What did you see her doing at that driver's door?
Yelling, hitting on the window, hitting on the door. As I was recording, I heard a gunshot.
He's seated in his own vehicle. He is clearly unarmed. So she's drawing a firearm on an unarmed man who's sitting in his car. And most of the witnesses described that he's not fighting back.
The defense counters, trying to raise doubts about the accuracy of the witnesses' memories 4 years after the shooting.
While she's in the window,
yes,
you can't see anything beyond the window, correct?
yes,
Okay. You can't see any hands, you can't see what's going on because from your testimony, she's in the window.
yes,
Okay. So how could you see her hitting him? Or how could you see a gun, him being held at gunpoint if she's in the window? Did you see when the gun went off?
just heard it.
Okay, so it's fair to say you didn't see where the gun was when the shot went off.
Correct.
The stories really didn't match up. I mean, each witness gave a totally different account. That's what bothered me the most.
In a bold move, Hannah Payne takes the stand. She attempts to refute key eyewitness testimony and describes to the jury what happened at the side of the truck in the moments before the gun went off.
He was pulling my wrist and he pulled me in the vehicle and he kept yelling at me, telling me, "I have something for you." And he used, I have something for you. And he's leaning and he's reaching and he's pulling. And at this point, I remember that I'm sorry.
Take your time. And let them hear her. I think they would come to the conclusion, this, just like I did, it was an accident. This was not intended. Nobody woke up that morning and said, "I'm gonna go out there and shoot somebody." She being young and naive, and some say stupid, that still doesn't make you a murderer.
However, that is not the end of Hannah Payne's time on the stand. Prosecutor Nigel Hunter begins her cross-examination.
And the 911 dispatch indicated to you approximately 4 times to either not chase Mr. Herring and go back to the scene, correct?
Incorrect. I only heard it one time and she told me not to chase, to be safe.
We were able to see the inconsistencies in her testimony in comparison to the interview that she gave to the detectives during the investigation. And they were very clear inconsistencies.
And do you recall that you told them that you came around that curve and you had an opportunity to get in front of him?
If that's what I said, then I don't remember. Like I said, exactly. It was 4.5 years ago. There was hours worth of interview, so.
So it's your testimony today that you did not cause him to stop his vehicle?
Correct.
We were able to show footage and photos of her actually cutting Mr. Herring's vehicle off, so that was clear.
Now, is your testimony today that you've never had your finger on the trigger?
It is.
And you also stated that you never had any intention of pulling the trigger.
Correct.
So when you told Mr. Herring that you would shoot him, you were just bluffing?
How will the jury see it? Did Hannah Payne act out of fear for her own life? Or was Kenneth Herring just an innocent man killed needlessly by the side of a highway?
Mr. Foreperson, if you would go ahead and read the verdict.
With regard to count 1, as to the offense of malice murder.
In May of 2019, Hannah Payne and Kenneth Herring are involved in an altercation following a traffic accident. Now, Payne thought at the time that she was doing the right thing by detaining Herring at gunpoint on the side of the road, but things turned deadly very quickly. She claims she acted in self-defense. The prosecution argues this was murder. The jury has deliberated for an hour and a half.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 2, as to the offense of felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
Hannah Payne, guilty on all 8 counts.
I think the verdict was the right verdict. I think the jury got it right. I think they listened throughout the entire trial, and that we presented a case, and the verdict that we received was the right verdict in this case.
It's totally unfortunate that it did end up the way it did. So it's a tragedy, and I wanted it to be taken as that, not as some kind of vigilante or somebody just driving around looking to shoot somebody, because that's not what it was. And the end result was tragic for both sides.
Hannah's sentencing comes 3 days later. In an emotional appeal, Kenneth Herring's siblings request the maximum penalty.
As I watched her leaving out, and she was crying as she was going through those doors, that's the same way I felt when they closed that casket on him. The same sentence that she gave him, I would like to see the same sentence given to her. He got death without parole. I would like for her to have life without parole.
The court's total sentence is life with the possibility of parole plus 8 years consecutive on the false imprisonment and 5 years consecutive on the possession of firearm during the commission of a felony. And that is the court's sentence.
In the end, 25-year-old Hannah Payne must serve at least 43 years behind bars before she would be eligible for parole at age 78.
A seemingly routine car accident turns into a tragic nightmare. You never know when a simple situation will spiral into something deadly. Just like in our next case, a brutal slaying of an entire family discovered by the side of the road in Hudson, Florida, with a 4-year-old boy missing. This case is beyond twisted.
Pasco County 911. What is your name?
Megan Brown.
Tell me exactly what happened, Megan.
I just came home and my son's dad put a knife to my throat and he cut my hand. I'm like bleeding everywhere and my son's freaking out. I really don't want to do this in front of him.
August 28th, 2014, the quiet waterfront town of Hudson, Florida. A frantic 911 call breaks the calm.
Megan Brown was, I think, about 27 years old when this occurred. Megan Brown had a son, Tristan, who was 4 years old. Tristan's father was Adam Matos.
The Brown family was a close-knit family living in Pennsylvania. Greg and Margaret Brown were 52, and in 2014 they relocated to Florida, presumably to retire, but they took with them Megan and Tristan, and they took Adam Matos, who was going to go down there and live with them so that he could be close to his son.
They had, I believe it was a very brief relationship that resulted in Tristan. He was kind of attaching himself to the Brown family, and I think that he was kind of had the makings of a drifter.
He took off. He did this in my son's room, and my son woke up.
Okay, and ma'am, he cut your hand with the knife?
Yes.
Okay.
Bleeding everywhere.
She was very upset. You could hear that she was dealing with Tristan at the same time that she was making the call. It was obviously very emotional. She was obviously frightened.
We haven't been together for weeks now because he doesn't do anything. And I went out with my friends and I came home at like 5 in the morning and he got all pissed off and he was drinking.
Okay, he left in a vehicle or on foot?
On foot. He doesn't have a license.
Now, do you know if he has any other weapons on him?
I have no idea.
Okay. Is he on drugs or alcohol?
Alcohol.
Adam Matos was described as kind of a quiet guy, maybe even shy. There was no indication of any history of violence between Megan and Adam. However, the situation was getting more volatile because of the new boyfriend, Nick Leonard.
Now, where are you at right now, Megan?
I'm in my room with my son.
Okay, you're in your room. Okay, Megan, well, the deputies are almost there, okay? So just go ahead and stay inside the house. Can you lock the door?
Yeah, I'm locking my son into my room.
Okay, well, I'm going to stay on the line with you until the deputy gets there, okay?
Yes, he's here.
Okay, I'll let you go, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much.
So that's how it starts with that call. Police have gone out there, they've circled around looking for him, and police can't find him.
Police suspend their search for Adam Matos since there are no more 911 calls over the next week. All seems quiet at the house on Hatteras Drive.
Law enforcement had no knowledge that there was anything going on at Hatteras up until the 4th when Linda Thomas called in the welfare check.
Linda Thomas is Megan Brown's step-grandmother.
And then 2 deputies went to the house, and they identified that there was a problem. That's when I got involved. 2 of the major places, Greg's closet and Megan's bedroom, it didn't have any carpet on it. It didn't have any flooring. It was just the bare plywood. Did somebody take this flooring up? Was it supposed to be here? There was a room with the dogs that was just dog poop everywhere, dog pee everywhere. It looked horrible. And it was a nice house. We just knew that there had been a domestic incident and they didn't know where the people were. We weren't even sure yet who was missing.
Then, a police officer searching the neighborhood makes a horrific discovery.
Sergeant Babcock had actually just driven down Old Dixie Highway with his windows open, got towards the end and smelled the smell and called other people out and looked, and you could see that there was a pile. That's how they found the bodies.
The way the bodies were found is just, I don't know how to say it other than kind of horrendous. These 4 bodies are piled on top of each other in the Florida heat and humidity. It was quite gruesome.
It was not clear who or how many bodies were in the heap. And I remember we didn't know, was Adam one of the people in the heap? Was Tristan one of the people in the heap? How many people? Was it 3? Was it 4? Was it more? So you really couldn't tell right at the beginning.
The bodies are in such bad shape, medical examiners have to resort to using dental records to determine who the victims are.
The victims of the crime were Megan's parents, who were Gregory and Margaret, Megan, of course, and Nick Leonard, who was Megan's new boyfriend.
The MEs conclude Megan and her dad, Greg, were killed by gunshots, but her mom and boyfriend died in even more barbaric ways.
The method was particularly brutal and savage, using a hammer, using a knife to stab them multiple times.
So many questions about what happened at that house on Hatteras Drive, including where was Adam and his son Tristan.
And the sheriff is scouring everywhere. There's a fear that something's happened to this kid, or even Adam. There's 2 investigations, one trying to solve this murder, and the second one is trying to locate this kid. Where is he at?
September 4th, 2014. The bodies of Adam Matos' girlfriend, Megan Brown, her dad, Greg, her mother, Margaret, and her new boyfriend, Nick Leonard, are all found by the side of the road, brutally killed. The search is on for Adam Matos and his son, Tristan.
So when the two deputies knocked on the door for the welfare check, Adam Matos and Tristan were in that house and then fled out the back.
They saw law enforcement, and they actually left the house and I think hung out at a vacant house for a while.
And he actually took like a canoe that was tied up at one of the houses at the end of Hatteras and canoed across the canal. It was around 9:30 at night. He calls for a taxi cab and then drives just past where all the roadblocks of law enforcement were. And then they actually stop at a convenience store on their way down to Tampa. They go down to Tampa, over to the Floridan hotel, where Adam goes, checks in with Tristan, gets a room.
He signed into his, into a room in his own name.
That is ultimately where he is located by law enforcement.
September 5th, 2014, police locate Adam Matos and Tristan at a Tampa hotel. They make sure Tristan is safe and take Matos into custody. They then question him on his whereabouts the day of the murders.
What time did you get up Friday? Friday, can't remember. Do you remember if you went back to the house on Hatteras on Friday? I don't think I did, no. No? Okay. Not at all the whole day? Didn't go back one time? No.
He was willing to answer some of their basic questions, just, about the family. As they got into the 28th and the 29th, he was clearly lying.
But then, Adam Matos slips up.
Is there any way you can make sure that my son goes with my mom or my brother?
We can't make any promises right now.
Obviously, we would like him to go back to Megan. Do you know if that's going to be possible? I would know. Okay.
Well, Megan's parents, they stay with them there.
Detective Kennedy and Detective Kugel, being good at what they do, they're like, well, we're really hoping that he could go with Maggie or Greg or Megan. And instead of giving him any kind of response, Adam very coldly says, well, you should call him, find out. I think he was starting to get an idea that they had a better sense for what was going on than he originally thought. So he asked for an attorney. He came in that house intending to kill these people. He entered through the side door. As he entered Megan's room, he saw Megan kind of rushing out with Tristan. We're pretty sure that Megan probably put him under the master bed before Adam came into the master bedroom. And he had relayed, I believe, that Megan was saying, please don't, during that time period.
But the horror doesn't end with the killing spree, especially for little Tristan, who spends much of the next few days confined in his room.
I think Tristan probably spent a decent amount of time in that locked room. It was very clear that Tristan knew that they were all gone, they weren't coming back, and that they had been wrapped up in sheets or carpet. Adam Matos moved them that night, going in the early morning of the 30th. He puts all four of those people in the back of the silver van, Maggie's van, and then drives them north on Old Dixie Highway and just drove down, I think it's about 3/4 of a mile, and then unloaded that van and dumped those four people roughly 20 feet off the road, just a little bit into thick brush. I remember there was like a large branch on top of the pile, as if he had half a thought of maybe he would cover it with things, but ultimately he did not, and he just left him right there in a heap.
Several days afterwards, he was like washing the garage and washing the ground where that blood was. And so, he was trying to clean up the scene. He was kind of overwhelmed, and then he was trying to clean it up because he's got this son that's autistic, and that he doesn't want him to see, what's going on in this house.
The murder weapons were ultimately recovered in a canal behind the house that the Browns had all been living in.
This house was actually on the very end of the canal. So he had dumped the hammer, Nicholas Leonard's firearm, as well as a number of Greg's rifles and knives. He wasn't working anymore.
After police find Adam Matos and Tristan, the young boy is sent to live with relatives. As for Matos himself, He's officially arrested and later charged on 4 counts of first-degree murder. Fast forward 3 years, and Adam Matos' trial finally begins, where he faces the death penalty.
The prosecution's strategy of this trial was really to leave no room for doubt by putting on every witness, putting on every piece of evidence they have.
As you approached the residence and got into the residence, did you notice any odors?
I did. It was a really foul odor as I was coming into the garage.
Was the smell that you smelled coming from 7719 Hatteras Drive consistent with that decomposing body smell?
Yes.
Do you know what time it was?
It was after midnight, 12:30. Adam, the next door neighbor, showed up.
Did he come from the general direction of 7719 Hatteras Drive?
Yes, sir.
How did he appear?
He was sweaty.
Did you find that unusual based on the weather that night?
Yes, sir. I mean, it was a summer night, but it wasn't very hot, you know.
They had to tell a full story of the circumstances that led to the murders, where they found the bodies, where they found the weapons.
And now it's the defense's turn to explain Adam Matos' part in all of this. And that's when they drop a bombshell.
Ladies and gentlemen, this case is not the case of revenge that the state portrayed in its opening statement. This case is about self-defense.
Okay, where we last left off, Adam Matos is standing trial for the quadruple murder of his son's mom, her parents, and her new boyfriend. But Matos' defense team shocks everyone by claiming he acted in self-defense.
By us pulling that surprise on them, I think it did give us a little bit of an advantage. I know for a fact that we surprised them.
We had this whole new self-defense thing that was thrown in there. We knew immediately the only way that they can get these facts out is if he testifies. So he's going to testify. And then, he gets up and admits that he was the killer.
Let's cut right to the chase, shall we? Adam Matos, on August 28, 2014, did Nicholas Leonard put his hands on your throat?
Yes, he did.
Did he threaten your life with a gun?
Yes, he did.
That's when the self-defense began. Kind of blaming Nick Leonard for putting him in this position when he's just trying to get his stuff and get the hell out of there, and he's trying to get Tristan just to tell his kid bye, and this Leonard guy pulls out a gun and is jumping on him and threatening him and is going to kill him. Did you get in a fight with him?
Yes.
Did you defend yourself?
Yes, I did.
Did you kill him?
Yes.
Why?
He tried to kill me.
It gives Adam Matos an opportunity to interact with the jury some, to make himself seem less like the killer we were portraying him as and more like something else, basically taking control of the narrative a little bit.
Matos says he managed to grab a knife that was already in the room.
In the struggle, Adam stabs him, he lets go of the gun. He's eventually able to subdue Nicholas Leonard.
At which time Megan came in with her father Greg. Greg had a rifle, pointed it at him.
Adam Matos, on August 28, 2014, did Gregory Brown threaten your life
Yes,
with a rifle? Did he pull the trigger?
Yes.
Did you get into a shootout with him?
Yes, I did.
Did you defend yourself?
Yes.
Did you kill him?
Yes, I did.
Why?
He tried to kill me.
This gentleman, a little bit cold and a little bit difficulty with his emotions, and I knew he was nervous already, so I kind of shortened up some of the questions and kind of had him more on a leash than I would most people on direct. Adam Matos, on August 28, 2014, was Megan Brown with Gregory Brown when he tried to shoot you with his rifle?
Yes.
Did she say anything as he was pointing his rifle at you?
She said, "Dad, shoot him. Shoot him, Dad."
But Gregory Brown's gun misfires twice. So Adam Matos says he and Megan rush back to the master bedroom where there are more firearms stored.
And he's getting a gun, getting ready to load it to shoot Adam. So Adam got this gun from Nick Leonard. Adam shoots him in the back twice, and he goes down. And he's just freaking out at this point. And he sees Megan.
I could see someone in my peripheral and it was Megan, and I thought she had something in her hand, and I just reacted and I shot her. I later found it to be a cell phone.
Did you kill her?
Yes.
Why?
I felt that she was going to kill me as well.
Looking back now, do you realize that she probably wasn't out to kill you or harm you?
I realize now that she probably wasn't trying to kill me. I was just out of it and so paranoid and in shock that I thought everyone was trying to kill me.
Why admit the murders and claim self-defense? My analysis of this is that it was clear to Adam Matos and his team that he was going to be convicted. And the only way he could avoid the death penalty with these murders, with 4 murders committed in gruesome fashion, was to tell the jury some story that would permit them to conclude there were some mitigating circumstances and the death penalty wasn't appropriate.
What did you do then?
I lost it completely. I just realized that I killed the woman that I love, the mother of my child. And at that point, I realized that Tristan no longer had a mother, he no longer had grandfather, and he no longer had me. And at that point, I felt like my life was over.
What we wanted to portray was, this handsome, well-spoken, mild-mannered guy who was here in Florida to take care of his autistic son that he loved more than anything.
But Adam Matos' story doesn't end there.
Then he took a hammer and went back and just continued to pummel Nicholas Leonard, who he was upset with. And then he zoned out for 4 or 5 hours until Maggie got back.
How about Margaret Brown? Did you believe that she was trying to kill you?
Yes.
Did you fear for your life, though?
Yes.
We knew we had a problem with Margaret Brown. And so that was, from the beginning, our main issue, our main problem. If he was going to get the death penalty, it would be from that. Margaret Brown got off at Wawa because she's on the security cameras around 11 o'clock, 11:15 p.m. is when her shift was over. She's coming home, and then she gets attacked or hit by a hammer by Adam. What were your feelings when you killed her?
I was lost. I was hurt. I was in shock. I was out of my mind, and I thought that everyone was out to kill me. I felt like she was going to kill me as well.
Did you kill her?
Yes.
But it wasn't planned out, and he was just paranoid, thought the world was trying to get him, thought that law enforcement was going to try to kill him and his son, and so he hit her with a hammer and killed her. Was she bleeding a lot?
Yes.
What did you decide to do to her head?
There was a lot of blood, and to stop the blood from getting everywhere, I put a trash bag over her head.
How do you feel about her death now?
Horrible. I feel disgusted, and I loved her very much, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. I relive those memories. I relive it every day, and it just haunts me every day.
When prosecutor Brian Sarabia cross-examines Matos, he seems much less sympathetic.
Well, you still could have gone out the front door, you agree?
I could have.
You could have said, wait, guys. Everything's fine, I'm leaving. I'm just getting my stuff and saying goodbye, right? You could have done that.
Possibly.
You didn't do that, though, did you?
No.
You pursued Greg and Megan, right?
Yes.
You pursued them into the master bedroom.
There is a sense of brutality from the close-up nature of these killings, and that kind of intense violence suggests something, frankly, more than self-defense.
And Tristan was in the master bedroom when this happened, wasn't he?
No, he was in his bedroom.
He was in his bedroom?
Yes.
By himself?
Yes.
Was he locked in there?
I believe Megan told him to close the door.
When did that happen?
It must have happened while we were in the room.
It must have happened. Did you hear it happen?
No, I didn't hear it happen, but she must have told him to lock himself in a room because when I came over to the room, he was locked in there. So he must have locked himself in.
So you're just making stuff up now.
Now we reach the conclusion of one of the most heartbreaking cases we have ever covered. Adam Matos has just finished a grueling 2-week trial, literally fighting for his life. But after less than 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returns with their verdict.
Adam Matos, the jury has reached their verdict.
We, the jury, finds as follows. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as to Nicholas Leonard, as charged in the indictment.
All 12 jurors agreed he was guilty for each of the 4 murders.
Did we really think he was going to get found not guilty of 4 counts of murder? No. We knew that he was probably going to get found guilty for sure.
Now here's the thing. When it comes to sentencing, the jury didn't reach a unanimous decision on the death penalty, which under Florida law at the time, they were required to do. So Adam Matos was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And as for his young son, Tristan, he's in the care of the Brown family. But that's not the end of the story, because we had a unique opportunity to actually sit down and speak with Adam Matos, where he's serving his sentence at the Blackwater River Correctional Facility in Milton, Florida. This was a Prime Crime exclusive interview, and all these years later, Adam Matos hasn't abandoned his claim of self-defense.
Well, when I went home, I was going to talk to Megan and say goodbye to Tristan, and I didn't have much time left to be with my son.
But this time, someone else was there besides Tristan and Megan, her new boyfriend.
I was confronted by Nicholas Leonard, and when I came into the room, he had attacked me. And that's when the whole situation started. And you know, we're wrestling around the room. I'm trying to get the pistol out of his hand. And I found a knife on the dresser. And I used the knife to stab him in the arm. And he started leaking blood all over the room. And we're wrestling for the gun. And her father comes in with a rifle. And she's telling her father to shoot me. So I tell her father, please don't shoot me, Greg. You know, don't do this. You know, I've known these people for, you know, close to a decade. You know, for him to shoot me, that was pretty crazy. You know, and it was a shock. You know, to you know, be staring at a rifle, you know, from someone I know and love and care about. And so he pulls the trigger, and the gun malfunctioned. So while her father was trying to get the gun to work, I was able to get the pistol out of Nicholas Leonard's hand. And that's when a shot went off, and I shot him. So at that point, her father and Megan, they run to the master bedroom. And I ran to the master bedroom. I wasn't even thinking. It was just like reaction to what just happened when he was in the closet loading up another rifle. And I shot him 2 times. Megan was standing in the room, and that's when I shot her. She looked like she had a weapon in her hand. Later I found out it was a cell phone, but it looked like a pistol. And I didn't even think, I just shot her. When I checked on Nicholas Leonard, I was just so angry at what happened. I was in such a rage because of what he did, you know, coming to my house with a weapon, causing this to happen. I grabbed a hammer and just started bashing his skull in. When her mother came home, that's when I just reacted. I thought she would try to kill me too. That's when I attacked her and also used the hammer on her. Being in a life-threatening situation when people are about to kill you, you automatically go into like a defense mode. You know, your reptilian part of your brain kicks in and you're not even thinking logically. You know, all rational thought just goes out the window.
You know, he may still be clinging to the belief that he was the one in danger and that he was simply trying to protect himself and young Tristan, but I'll tell you what, the jury, the ultimate decision makers, they didn't agree. And with that, we wrap up some of the most shocking and unforgettable self-defense cases that we have covered here on Prime Crime. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and until next time, stay safe.